As a child, Carrie dreams of her soulmate after placing a cake under her pillow. 2 decades later, she meets Jason. He's the best man at her sister's wedding, and she doesn't know what to do. 10-year-old Carrie is preparing a toast for her cousin's wedding. Her friend Norman Bieber is bored and wants to play with her. He drops her speech cards by mistake, and Carrie is in tears. When it's announced that Carrie will make a speech, she's unable to. Her father Todd comes to check on her, but the moment has passed. She's eating the cake later when her mother, Judy, asks why she didn't give the toast. Judy knows Carrie practiced the speech 1,000 times. She could have easily done it without the cards. Carrie wants it to be perfect, but Judy makes her realize how hard perfection is. Judy takes out a box of leftovers from her bag. She cuts out a piece of the cake and asks Carrie to put it under her pillow that night. Judy seems sure Carrie will dream of her soulmate. Carrie is excited to meet the man of her dreams and carefully places the cake under her pillow. She dreams about her dad walking her down the aisle and the man she's about to marry. 20 years later, Carrie's colleague, Kaya, is raving about the frosting on the cupcake Carrie made. She explains the changes in the recipe scientifically and feels baking is like chemistry. Carrie's younger sister, Lydia, is about to get married. She's the maid of honor and the baker of Lydia's wedding cake. Kaya hopes Carrie doesn't stop baking when the wedding is over. Carrie assures her she enjoys all the science in baking. Some just care about the taste. Kaya thinks Carrie needs to stop working so hard in the lab. She even spends nights there. Kaya gets distracted by a new post from the blogger, Just Ask Josie. She advises people struggling with their love life. Everyone follows Josie, and she makes Kaya feel like there's hope. Kaya reads out a question from a user who is in love with their boss. Josie asks the user to get to know their boss outside work. She feels that will help the user not ruin their career for a date that might not work out. Carrie admits Josie gives good advice. Kaya follows Josie from Carrie's phone too for entertainment. She doesn't think Carrie needs it because she and Griffin are the perfect couple. Griffin has recently broken up with Carrie because he felt everything was too planned with them. Kaya assures Carrie that it's his loss and that her dream guy is still out there. We might know a little about that. Carrie knows unless it's the literal guy of her dreams, she's not interested. Jason calls Brad to let him know he's reporting for duty as his best man. He's sure his speech will make even the bride cry. Lydia is relieved when Carrie turns up at the house. She has too many things to discuss about the wedding. Lydia gets more excited when her fiancé, Brad, turns up with his best man Jason. Carrie gets a flashback of her dream, where she pictures getting married to Jason. She starts coughing since she never thought she would meet her dream guy. This is awkward. Everyone is worried about her, and Jason offers to get water. Carrie stops him and suggests it's best if she moves around herself. Lydia runs after her and is excited about them meeting Carrie properly at the barbecue. Brad wonders what Jason thinks of Carrie, since Lydia keeps wanting them to meet. Brad also feels like Jason and Carrie would hit it off. Jason feels like relationships that start at weddings don't last past the reception. Brad has already heard about that from Josie's blog. Lydia is obsessed with it, and Jason claims he reads it too. Todd feels like Carrie never learned to drink enough water, even after soccer practice as a kid. Water is not the problem here. She assures them she's fine, and Lydia also asks her to take care of herself. When they're alone, Carrie asks Judy if she remembers her advice about the wedding cake under the pillow. Carrie doesn't want to say more and claims she just wanted to confirm if Judy remembers it. Carrie tries to process that Jason looks exactly like the guy from her dreams all those years ago. She doesn't understand how that's possible and feels very anxious. Seems like a nightmare. She opens Josie's column and wonders if she should ask for advice. She doesn't want to share this with a stranger, but can't exactly tell her family. She's sure they will think she has lost her mind. Carrie assures herself that Josie gets too many messages, so she might not even see hers. Carrie starts writing a message to Josie, describing how she met the literal man of her dreams. She joins the others at the barbecue after that. Brad and Lydia have been telling Jason about Carrie's work in analytical chemistry. Jason is interested in whether she makes things explode in beakers. Carrie assures him it's more of data manipulation than explosions in her lab. She uses so many technical terms to describe her job that she gets nervous and drops a bowl of food. When Brad and Jason leave to get more food, Lydia wonders what's wrong with Carrie. She claims she's getting sympathy wedding jitters. Any excuse would have been better. Lydia hopes it's not something like what she read in Just Ask Josie. She remembers an incident about the maid of honor falling for the groom. Carrie is worried because Lydia reads the blog too. Todd brings Carrie's old friend Norman for an introduction. Carrie hasn't seen him since high school, but he flirts with her. Todd brags about Norman's successful car dealership and his new house. Norman offers to take Carrie to the place, but she insists she's too busy planning the wedding. Judy engages Norman in some car-related questions, and Carrie thanks her for the distraction. Norman turns up at Lydia and Carrie's game too, so Carrie tries to disappear on the property. She keeps looking back to get away from him, and sits on Jason's lap by mistake. She's surprised she's running into him like that again on the bench. Jason makes room for her, and Carrie starts explaining about this stargazing bench. Todd got this for Judy for an anniversary, and they still look at the stars every night together. Jason thinks that's the dream, but Carrie freaks out at the mention of that term. She needs to keep her cool. She assures him she doesn't dream at all. Jason explains that he meant it was a dream to find someone to share a bench with. Brad and Lydia find them sitting together and feel they look very cute. Carrie makes an excuse about the aid of Hoduti Sudi and awkwardly describes how important lighting is. Brad teases Jason about his rule of not starting a relationship at weddings. Jason feels like there's always an exception to rules. That night, Jason starts reading Carrie's question to Josie. It turns out that Jason is Josie, and she sent him the message as an anonymous user. This is getting better. Carrie explains that she was 10 when she went to her favorite cousin's wedding. She describes the wedding cake under her pillow, and how she hasn't thought about the face from the dream in years. She is freaking out that her dream man is real, and she doesn't know what to do. She signs the message as Wedding Cake Dreams. Jason takes his time to read this and starts replying. Lydia wakes Carrie up early morning and is excited about hemming her dress. Carrie gets a reply from Josie, who claims to understand she feels a connection towards this guy. Josie still insists her dreams aren't real and asks her not to get swept away. Josie advises her to give the man a chance, but proceed with caution. Todd thinks Carrie looks too beautiful in the dress and might outshine the bride. Lydia is not worried because Brad only has eyes for her. Todd wants to find a partner for Carrie too, and Lydia promises she is working on it. Carrie asks them to take a break from matchmaking till the wedding is over. She gets startled by Jason's voice and falls on him again. She gets awkward and tries to shake his hand. Lydia asks for Jason's opinion on Carrie's dress, but he feels like she looks beautiful both ways. Carrie feels uncomfortable and insists she needs to change. She asks Josie how she can proceed with caution when she has to be around him all the time. She also admits that he's very dreamy, but she's not attracted to someone till she gets to know them. She still feels like she has known this guy for decades. That weirdly makes sense. Carrie gets a reply from Josie, but she gets startled by Todd. He hears something break in the kitchen, so Carrie takes the chance to read Josie's reply. Josie asks her to try being friends with this dream guy, so he gets the hint and she can slow things down. Todd instructs the team on how to decorate a candle jar. Jason joins them a bit later after finishing some work. Carrie explains what he's supposed to do and asks for a fist bump to show that they're friends. Jason shares how he once hot glued his hands to a Christmas wreath. Carrie finds that funny, but insists she likes learning things about her friends. Jason has heard that Carrie and Lydia collected bags of this sea glass. Todd explains how he and Judy used to love taking the girls to the beach. Carrie even remembers what each color means. She explains that white is the easiest to find, and it means happiness. Judy has told her to always find happiness easily in life too. She explains that green is for energy and brown for intelligence. She shares a story from 5th grade when her teacher thought she was cheating on a test. She was only teaching at her desk to touch the bag of brown sea glass to get smarter. She explains that blue is the rarest since it means love. She remembers Josie's advice and insists it could mean friendship too. That is not casual at all. Norman comes to ask Carrie for a ride in his new convertible. She takes that as an excuse to get away from Jason. Norman makes Carrie take her shoes off before getting into the car and drives fast. Brad admires their jars, while Jason pockets the blue stone. He makes an excuse about work, and Lydia wonders what he does. Brad explains that he's a web designer. Norman insists on dropping Carrie at the door when they're back. He remembers the time they were kids and used to run around the neighborhood. He claims he always knew she had a crush on him and tries to kiss her. She gets saved by Judy and asks Norman to take Judy for a test drive. Jason reads Carrie's next message to Josie, where she mentions how she likes this guy. She still doesn't know if she can trust her feelings. Jason runs out of water while working. Brad also comes to his room to drop off the ring. Brad hears a notification and thinks Jason is also reading Josie's blog. He feels confused when he realizes Jason is replying to people as Josie. Jason pretends he designs Josie's website when Brad asks him about it. He wants to share this with Lydia, but Jason forbids him from telling anyone. Jason admits that he is Josie when Brad is still confused about the process. Brad feels weird he didn't know his best friend is a famous love expert. Jason reminds Brad of the time in college when he was the resident advisor. Students used to come to him with relationship problems, but they couldn't share them easily since he is a man. He then created Just Ask Josie and pretended to be a woman so people would be comfortable. Brad realizes Jason asked him to break up with an ex-girlfriend who was cheating on him. Jason explains that he did it to help people initially. The site soon took off, and now he's a world-renowned relationship expert. What an origin story. Brad begs Jason to let him tell Lydia, but Jason believes that'll be the end of Just Ask Josie. Brad breaks out in hives like he usually does when he's hiding something. Lydia knows about this problem too. Brad is sure she will find out anyway. Carrie gets a reply from Josie, who asks her to invite her guy for a group activity. He believes the pressure will be off, and it'll give her a chance to know him better. Carrie informs Lydia about a cake tasting. She asks her to invite Jason also, so he can be the tiebreaker if Lydia and Brad like different flavors. Brad is itching a lot and doesn't know how to keep the secret to himself. Judy is excited to be Lydia's officiant, while Carrie prepares for the cake tasting. Carrie suggests a list of elaborate flavors. Judy remembers the time classic vanilla was used for cakes. She assures her a marriage can stand on vanilla cake and buttercream frosting. Judy also doesn't like to measure things and just throws in the ingredients. Carrie feels like it's better to predict outcomes based on proper rules. Judy admits her experimental nature resulted in a lot of failures, but she also got good surprises. She asks Carrie to not be so particular and to trust her instincts sometimes. Lydia arrives first for the tasting and is joined by Brad and Jason. Lydia wonders why Brad is wearing a sweater, so he insists he's feeling a chill. Carrie decides to begin her session and plans to discuss their likes and dislikes. Brad insists he can't tell Carrie anything, but Jason covers for him. Jason claims Brad doesn't want to discuss baking because he's terrible at it. Carrie offers them a slice of Mexican chocolate and wonders if Jason has been to Mexico. Jason seems confused, and Brad feels like he's about to puke. As Lydia gets him water, Carrie moves on to her next slice. She brags about tweaking the recipe but doesn't get any decent response from the boys. Brad refuses to give his opinion and runs away from Lydia so she can decide for herself. Jason tries to praise Carrie's baking, but he needs to follow Brad. Lydia is sure Brad is acting suspicious, but Carrie doesn't think there's anything to worry about. Lydia admits she wants a classic vanilla cake, so Carrie assures her she can do that too. Brad begs Jason to let him tell Lydia, and he will swear her to secrecy. Jason is afraid Lydia will tell Carrie, and then other people will find out. Todd has invited Norman to the party and is excited about him spending time with Carrie. She admits Norman is too much for her, but Todd thinks she just needs to get used to his weirdness. Well, that should be easy. He assures her he only wants her to be happy. Carrie writes to Josie about how awkward her group date was. She feels like her dream guy might not be interested. Josie suggests she should let the guy know if she likes him. He asks her to play it cool if she's too nervous, so he makes the first move. Jason apologizes to Carrie for missing part of the tasting. He is intrigued about Carrie coming up with all those recipes. He can imagine her in a lab with goggles and gloves like a mad scientist. Carrie admits it's almost like that, but without the goggles. He offers her a drink, but she remembers she's supposed to play it cool. She walks away politely, but rejects the drink. Lydia has planned a wedding scavenger hunt with a list of clues. The first team that makes it to the finish line with pictures of everything wins. She asks them to make teams of 2, so Norman approaches Carrie. Jason saves her and pretends they're already teamed up. He has heard about how Norman keeps ruining things for Carrie from Lydia. They grab their cameras and start running after Lydia's gesture. The first clue points to Carrie's dad's herb garden. Norman beats her to it, but it makes Carrie more determined to win. The next clue asks them to get something old, new, borrowed and blue from the street. Lydia is worried since Brad missed the start of the scavenger hunt. She also doesn't understand why he's suddenly wearing turtleneck sweaters. He pretends he's in the kitchen for cake, and that he's not acting weird. Carrie and Jason keep taking pictures and find some blueberries for their something blue. Jason asks her to try them and feels the antioxidants will give them the edge to win. He lovingly makes her try it, but she feels awkward. She hurries away so they can get to their next clue. Jason hangs back to pay for the blueberries when he gets a message for Josie from Carrie. She believes her guy made the first move, so Josie asks her to retaliate. They just have one clue left, but Norman is already in his car to solve it. Carrie realizes he's in the wrong place and brings Jason to the wedding arch. Jason takes her picture, but Carrie wants to hang back for a while. Her parents and grandparents also got married there. She assumed she would too since she's the elder sister. Jason assures her she'll find love where she least expects it. He's about to kiss her, but Norman finds them. They rush to the finish line and hug each other when they win. Carrie is dancing with Jason at the party when Lydia asks to talk to her. She is worried about Brad acting weird. She noticed him scratching his neck and knew he probably had hives. Carrie assures her he's not getting cold feet, since they're perfect. Lydia is glad to have Carrie around, who always comforts her. Lydia teases Carrie about Jason since she has noticed their chemistry. Judy is enjoying the romantic night and teases Carrie about Jason too. Carrie gets a call from Kaya, who received Lydia's cake topper at the lab by mistake. She promises to send it to Carrie's parents' house by the morning. Kaya wonders if Carrie read the wedding cake dream story on Just Ask Josie. Kaya feels like it sounds more romantic than crazy, and is hoping this couple gets together. Carrie admits that she has wedding cake dreams. Everything she mentioned happened to her. She explains that the guy is the best man at the wedding. She asks Kaya to not reveal this to anyone at the lab. Kaya is just curious to know what's happening between them. She assures Carrie that Josie is never wrong, and that she should go for it with the guy. When she steps out, Jason asks her for a romantic dance under the lights. They discuss how fun the night was, but Carrie reminds him of all the work they have. She's going to be up all night baking the cake. He feels like she's very sweet to do that for her sister. But Carrie is just honored that Lydia asked her to make the cake. Jason wonders if she has ever heard about sticking a piece of wedding cake under the pillow. What are the chances? He claims he read it somewhere, but Carrie aggressively denies knowing about it. Todd likes having Carrie around in the house. It reminds him of her high school days, when both his girls were still in the nest. Carrie wonders how Todd knew Judy was the one. Todd claims he never did, but it was worth taking a chance on her. Carrie expertly bakes a beautiful cake all night. She goes to check on Lydia, who is unable to sleep. She's looking at pictures of her and Brad. She's sure he's keeping something from her. Carrie assures Lydia he must have a lot on his mind with even his parents arriving the next day. Lydia is worried he might not want to get married. Carrie is sure it's not like that. She suggests that Lydia should ask Josie about her problems since she worships her. Carrie feels like Lydia has nothing to lose, and asking Josie will at least help her sleep. Jason gets a message from Lydia, who goes by the name of the angsty bride. She shares that she's worried about her fiancé acting strangely and avoiding her. She's also worried about him having second thoughts, and asks Josie to help her. Lydia wakes up anxious the next morning and wants to check if Josie replies. Josie reassures her that there are other reasons why a groom might be nervous. Josie also believes Lydia should talk to him directly if she's worried about cold feet. Lydia is unable to eat till she talks to Brad, and leaves Carrie with Judy. She remembers her wedding, and how similar it was to Lydia's. Judy asks Carrie about Jason, but she remembers what it was like when Griffin broke up with her. Carrie always thought he was the one, till he suddenly told her he hadn't been happy for a while. She felt foolish for planning a future with him when he didn't see her in it. She doesn't want to make the same mistakes, but Judy doesn't think that's enough reason for her not to take a chance with Jason. Lydia hasn't been able to talk to Brad because he's picking up his parents from the airport. When he comes back, Lydia decides to just ask him. She's interrupted by Todd, who asks them to get into positions for the rehearsal. Carrie asks her to just get through the rehearsal, and is sure they'll have plenty of time after to talk. Judy guides them through the process, while Todd hands Lydia to Brad. She asks him to save his vows for the next day, and doesn't even let him kiss the bride. Lydia and Carrie try to talk to Brad and Jason after the rehearsal. Brad takes Jason aside instead, and insists it's some groom talk. Even Carrie can see how weird this is, and assures Lydia they will get to the bottom of this. Jason asks Brad to understand that his followers have increased significantly in the last 2 days. He has always worked for this column, and can't afford to break the trust of his circle. Brad feels like his followers will trust him more if he's not afraid of telling the truth. Lydia overhears him mentioning he doesn't want more secrets. She directly asks Brad to let her know if he doesn't want to get married. Jason assures Lydia that Brad is covering for him. He explains that Brad found out something and is being a good friend. He admits that he's just asking Josie. He lies about being a web designer to throw people off. He admits it's easy to be anonymous online, and people find comfort in telling a woman their stories. Carrie hopes he's joking, but even Brad confirms his story. Lydia is just relieved Brad still loves her, and that Josie is their best man. He asks all of them to keep his secret, because he could lose his career over it. Carrie feels hurt. He pretended to be someone he's not. Jason assures her he cares about the people who write to him. Carrie thinks he makes a fool of those people, and even of her. Judy can tell there's something wrong with Carrie, so she explains her situation. She admits everything about Jason and Josie and asks Judy to keep it a secret. She feels bad that she dreamt about Jason, but he's also someone she confessed all this to. She also feels weird he doesn't know it yet, and might think she's crazy and a liar. Judy notices how sad Carrie feels when she doesn't join Jason at the table. Judy remembers the time when she was a girl, and her grandma gave her a piece of cake for her pillow. She dreamt of Todd that night, who was 3 years older and the most popular guy in school. She marched to his locker the next day and told him about the dream. He shook her hand, but made fun of her with his friends. It then took 4 years for him to ask her on a date. She still remembers how magical their first kiss was. Judy doesn't think the wedding cake got them together or held their relationship. She's still glad it made her brave enough to approach him. Jason apologizes to the happy couple, but Lydia is too in love to be mad at him. She asks Jason to give Carrie some time to warm up to him. Lydia wakes up excited about her wedding day and just loves the cake Carrie has made for her. Carrie is distracted with Jason, but is excited about Lydia's day. She reminds Lydia of her hair appointment and asks her to get ready. Todd and Judy love how beautiful both their girls look at the wedding. They begin the ceremony, and Jason thinks Carrie looks beautiful. Jason tries to talk to Carrie after the ceremony, but she is dragged away for photos. Kaya shares a new development in Just Ask Josie with Carrie. He posted a confession last night since he wants his followers to trust him. Carrie finds his photo on his website and reads about how he thought people find it easier to talk to strangers. He has recently realized that people want deeper connections. Since everyone has been so vulnerable with him, he has decided it's fair he reveals himself. Jason is glad Carrie has joined them for cake. She reminds him about the day he asked her about the cake under the pillow. She sends Just Ask Jason a message and asks him to read it. It's from Wedding Cake Dreams, who is ready to tell the man of her dreams the truth. She admits she dreamt of him as a girl and didn't know what to think of it. She knows she might sound foolish, but she admits she likes him a lot. She's afraid he doesn't feel that way, but he kisses her.